Hello. So I have a lot of moms that ask about a forceful letdown and oversupply, but I also have moms who don't realize that that's what they have. So if baby is spitting up, or you think baby has GERD or a reflux issue, especially if this is your first baby, and but sometimes even if it's a second or third baby, moms don't know that they really are just having a forceful letdown and oversupply. So my name is Mary Cahill, and I'm a certified lactation counselor. And my goal is to empower women like you and to help them on their breastfeeding journey. But my passion is to do that with correct, evidence-based information. So I'm going to share with you things that you're not going to be told in other places or aren't very clear. And I have moms all the time say, so much wrong information out there that's what my passion is to do, to help moms and to help them with the correct information. So an oversupply is, of course, when you have, more milk than you know what to do with. So in the first few weeks after baby's born, first month to 6 weeks, most moms have lots of milk. Sometimes there's a problem with undersupply, but a lot of moms have a lot of milk. If after that, if you're still having an oversupply and a lot of milk, then that means you are naturally having an oversupply. A forceful letdown is when the milk sprays out of your breast and like hits the shower walls. It's just and you could have a lot of leaking, but that's not always a sign of oversupply. But a lot of moms will have a lot of leaking with the oversupply. But the big ones are babies choking when they're eating. Sometimes babies will pull off the breast, and moms will think, maybe I have there's an issue with my milk, or I don't have enough milk, but baby's pulling off because they're choking and it's hard to control or swallow that milk. So those are some of the few signs of a forceful letdown. Now, then also a forceful letdown will look like I said, GERD or reflux. So if a baby is having issues with extra blowout diapers, which breastfed babies will have thin stool, and that's the way it's supposed to look. And they'll have diaper blowouts where poop out the sides. But when that is a super forceful issue and they're having them often, then that could be a sign of a forceful letdown. Also, a sign of forceful letdown is sometimes, a huge weight gain, or baby is kind of growing too quickly, or the doctor's concerned because of too quickly. That could be, but it could also be the opposite. Lower birth, reason why is because if baby's throwing that up a lot, then they're getting rid of more than they need. And if they're having forceful blowout diapers, then they're getting rid of more than their body needs to. So or they don't want to latch because they're choking. So that can also be shown as in the form of underweight. So with a forceful letdown, that can be controlled, and you can work on this. And a lot of moms are like, wow, you're so lucky you have this, all this oversupply. It can actually be just as bad as, or even worse than undersupply. So there's a lot of work in an oversupply. So if you don't have this, you don't want it. So I have moms sometimes who it's so bad that they can't even breastfeed. They have to totally pump, and which is still breastfeeding, but they can't latch the baby because it's so severe. So if you feel like you have an oversupply, be sure to see a local lactation counselor or your doctor. So find someone to connect with to be sure, but you don't want to do anything to adjust your milk supply in that first 3 to 5 weeks, because you don't know for sure if that's really what's going on, because like I said, you'll have a lot of extra. That we can just work on adjusting how baby is latching, which sometimes even in normal supply, it's kind of too much for baby with their mouth at your breast. So if baby starts to latch but pulls off and they're kind of choking, some of the things to do is to nurse baby in more of an upright position, and even laying back helps. And some moms lay all the way back with baby laying on them tummy to tummy to nurse the baby. So all the way back, and to breastfeed more upright so they're not choking. If I were to give you something to eat or drink and breathe hard to get some air in while they're eating, then they're going to choke and swallow extra air and choke on that milk. So more in an upright position. And also, when you start to have a letdown, baby's on, and your letdown starts, and that starts coming out real forcefully, if you could take the baby off and let your milk spray into a collection cup or a bottle or even just into a towel, until the force of it comes out, and then you can latch baby again. Baby's mouth on your breast will stimulate you and start the letdown. But once it starts, like I said, take the baby off and put baby back on when it starts to slow down a little bit. Be sure to watch for another letdown. Quite often moms will have several letdowns in the same feeding. So there might be times you take baby off again for another, while you have another letdown, why it's still so forceful. Also, stopping in between those times, if you can burp the baby during that time, that helps because they're getting so much extra air in their tummy from the milk coming out so quickly that burping helps that tummy issue so they don't have such an upset tummy. And that's when a lot of moms come to me because baby is having an upset tummy, and really then we realize that it's really a forceful letdown. So sitting upright, burping, letting the milk run into a towel or a container in between. Also, we want moms to breastfeed on both sides normally. Really slow that down just a little bit. Like I said, we don't want to slow it down in that first 4 or 5 weeks, but after that, we want to start to slow it down a little bit. So then you'll just be nursing on one side, one feeding, and try to avoid the other side and just offer the other side the next feeding. Extra full, filling and gorge, then we want to relieve some of that pressure. And so sometimes that's a form of pumping or having baby be on there for just a moment, just to take off the extra pressure in your breast. If you don't, then you'll end up with clogged ducts, which could go into mastitis, and we don't want that. So then when you're starting to try the milk, when you get to that point after a month and that's needing to be done, be sure to, when you're adjusting that milk supply, maybe even a week before you start to see a little difference of your milk supply slowing down a little. And we want it to be very slow, especially for your situation, so that, like I said, you don't have clogged duct and get into that issue. Also, you want to be sure that if you do feel like you start to get a clogged spot is getting a little hard or a little tender, massage that area, warm compress just on that area just before nursing, just to keep going. If it's on one side, you want to try to offer that breast a little more often during that day to try to get that moved out. And also you want to massage that and the warm compresses, but you may have to pump more and feed more on that side until that passes, and then you're kind of starting over again to slow up your milk production. If you don't want, you can keep the supply and even let it go overboard and do lots if you're wanting to and have the time to pump extra to donate, which is awesome. But don't feel guilty about it if that's something that doesn't work into your life right now. It's your milk. Don't feel bad about it. If you can do that, there's a lot of moms that do, and it's needed, but if not, don't feel bad. If you do try to keep your supply up and even produce more, then it's more work to where you have to get up in the night. You cannot go 8 hours without pumping if you've let yourself make extra milk. So just know that you're going to need to be up at least once in the night to pump to at least relieve some pressure. If you're prone to those clogged ducts, then, which not all moms will be, there's some things you can do natural ways. If you take lecithin is a natural well, as a vitamin you can get like over the counter, Walmart, and I'll write it in the description for you so you know what to look for. But that helps. It's a natural way for your body to help and kind of thin out the milk. It's not going to thin it out for the baby, but to keep it flowing so that you don't have those clogged ducts. I think I covered kind of most of it. And if you have any questions, ask below. Can you subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up and heart if you have any questions? Please go ahead and ask. I have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, so you can find me at Mary Cahill, Certified Lactation Counselor. Thanks, Moms.